A very happy morning, my dear friends. Once again, I welcome you all to this YouTube class. So, in our previous class, we have discussed about mailing questionnaire, meaning of that mailing questionnaire, and merits and demerits of that mailing questionnaire. Thereafter, a telephone interview, merits and demerits of the telephone interview, pilot survey. Let me say once again that pilot survey. Pilot survey means it's a pre-testing of a questionnaire with the small or the selected group is called pilot survey, and it helps us to understand the idea about actual survey, and it gives us knowledge about shortcomings and or the drawbacks of questions, and suitability of question, performance of that enumerator, and how much cost and time involves in the actual survey. So that is what we learn from this pilot survey. Thereafter, we have seen census and sample survey. Census means here we can find every element of the population is known as census. Let me define here what is census survey. So yesterday I have asked census survey, and some of my dear students are got a little confusion to answer, or they are got trouble to answer the question census survey. Census survey means it is a survey or the method where we collect the each and every information of the population. So that is a census survey. I repeat, census survey means where it is a method where we collect each and every element or the information of the population. So that is a census survey. So for example, literacy, health status, assets, and the life expectancy, size and composition of the population. So this is what we see in that census survey. In our India, we have many kinds of institutions which conducting that census kind of, or which is collecting the information from of the population among that census one of the institution. So that census of India kind of, which we conduct once in a year, once in a 10 year, or which we carried out every 10 years. So in this we find some kinds of data which related to demography, like birth and death rate, literacy, employment, life expectancy, size and composition of population, and many more kind of things. Around 18 sort of concepts we can find in this census of India. And generally this census of India kind of documents a document published by Registrar General of India. Last census of India was held or published in 2011, or the census of India which held in 2011, and at the time our population was 121 crores. Like thereafter we have seen sample survey. So before that we have understood what is sample. Sample means a group or section of a population from which the information is to be obtained. So that is what sample like we have defined, and before that we have given reason why we need to conduct that sample survey. So because or why we used to get the help of the sample survey, or why we use a sample survey, because it is difficult to conduct the survey with the total population. That's why, or with the population, that's why we have to conduct that sample survey kind of. Okay. So thereafter I have defined, or we have understood what is sample survey. Sample survey means it's a method where observations are obtained from a representative set or sample of the population. So that is what sample survey. To make you understand, I have given one example. With the help of that example, we have understood that yes, when we go, or when we conduct that survey, no, or when we conduct the investigations, no, at that time we need not to go at all the individuals. We can take the representative units, or by using that representative unit we can easily conduct, or we can easily have study, or we can easily conduct that research by using the estimated value, or by studying that representative units we can universalize, or we can use that estimated value to the whole population. So that is what we understood from the sample survey or sample survey. So thereafter I have said about types of sampling, means when we decided to do sample survey, then we have to, I think the next step is we have to choose the individuals or the samples. We have, it means in population we have 300 households, among which kind of household we have to take or we have to choose as our sample. Okay, there are two kinds of methods in our statistics, such as random sampling and non-random sampling method. So let us throw light on that random sampling. In that random sampling is, it means it is it's a sampling where the individual units from this population are selected at random. So here we select the individuals or the samples or the units of that population randomly. Okay, it means with the help of various methods, means we select here that units are the population, sample are the individuals. There are two kinds of methods, those are lottery method and random number table. So by using those lottery and random table method, we choose or we select the individuals in this random sampling method. Thereafter non-random sampling. So this is what we have to take care in our today's class now. So in that earlier concept we have understood that by using lottery method or the random number table method, we can select the individuals or samples among the or from the population. So other than that, we can use one more kind of method. From that method we can select the individuals or the samples or units of a population. A non-random sampling method, or in a non-random sampling method, all the units of the population do not have an equal chance of being selected. See, in that random sampling method, we have understood that all the units of the population are having equal chance to being selected. Means there whatever the individuals we can find in that population, no, all the individuals who gets chance to being selected. But in this non-random sampling, that kind of chance these units of the population cannot have. Means here we cannot find the equal chance of being selected, because here we select the samples on our judgment or our convenience. Our means that investigators convenience are the judgments. So here the convenience or the judgment of investigator plays an important role in the selection of the sample. Here that investigator or that enumerator who plays vital role while choosing or while selecting the samples or the units of that population. Okay, so here that investigator can select the sample on the basis of the convenience. Like in that image I have said, I have you can from that image you can understand that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 households. There are 5 households, okay, which are nearer to each other. Okay, those households are nearer to each other. It means here that investigator can take the samples by considering nearness. Okay, so which household, it means which individual will be near to him, no? So he may choose that individual or that household as his sample or her sample. Okay, I repeat, here that investigator can take the sample or the individual, or he can identify the individual or sample as his by considering nearness. Okay, so if that household or that individual is near to him, at the time he can choose that household or that that individual as his sample. This is first kind of way where he can choose the sample. Along with that, he can choose sample or the individual as the by considering a friendship. Okay, if the individual or the sample, it means here that individual, that investigator can choose that sample by considering a friendship. If that individual is his friend, at that time he can take he can choose him as his sample or sample unit. Okay, like by considering a friend or friendship, or by considering knowing each other. Okay, if we know, if that investigator know some persons, at that time he can take those persons as his or her study aspect or the samples. Like here that the investigator can choose or select the samples. Okay, by considering knowing, he can choose the sample, or by considering the nearness, or the what we call that neighbor households, we can take as the sample in this non-random sampling. So like through these kinds of methods, or through this kind of ways, we can select the samples in this random sampling. Okay, to understand, they have given one example. There may be a situation that you have to select 10 out of 100 households in a locality. You have to decide which household to select and which to reject. Okay, yes, to identify the household, what we have to do, it means yes, in 100 households we have to select 10 households. At that time we have to decide which households I have to select and which household we have to decide, reject. You may select the households conveniently situated, or the household known to you or your friend. See here, so we can choose those 10 households by considering households which are situated, are conveniently situated. Conveniently situated means which are nearer to that investigator, or the households known to you or your friends. Okay, suppose the households which are known to that investigator's friends, are the households which are households of friends. At the time that investigator can choose that household. You are using your judgment or bias in selecting 10 households. So see, in this non-random sampling, that investigator can use his or her judgment, okay, to select those 10 households. So this is what non-random sampling. Hope you are getting what I am saying, or you have understood the concept. Let us get into the next concept, that is sampling and non-sampling error. It means sampling error and non-sampling error. Yes, error means generally we can understand, error means something problem occurred or something went wrong. So while selecting samples, sometimes we may get errors, or sometimes we may get problem, or sometimes we may incur some difficulties, or sometimes we may get errors or problems. So those problems we can categorize into two types, like sampling error and non-sampling error. Let me see, or let us see what is sampling error. Sampling error, the purpose of the sampling is to take an estimate of the population. See, why we collect or why we select the samples? To make an estimate the population, or to understand the entire population. For that we used to select these samples. No, I repeat, the purpose of the sample is to take an estimate of the population. It means we select the samples to estimate the entire population. Sampling error refers to the differences between the sample estimate and the actual value of a characteristics of the population. So sampling error means it is differences between the sample estimate and the actual value of a characteristics of the population. So that is a sampling error, means where we find the differences between estimate value and actual value. Later we will see what is estimate value and actual value. So if we found any differences between difference between that actual and estimate value, no, so that value is called sampling error. It is possible to reduce the magnitude of sampling error by taking a larger sample. See here, we can reduce that sampling error, or we can reduce that sampling problem, or we can reduce that sampling difficult by increasing the sampling, or by taking the larger sample, or by increasing the size of sample. Okay, to make you understand, they have given one example. Consider a case of income or incomes of 5 farmers of Gadag. Okay, in Gadag we have considered 5 farmers, and the income of those 5 farmers in a day is 500, 550, 600, 650 and 700. The income of those 5 farmers is respectively like 500, 550, 600, 650 and 700. The average income of that farmers is 3. If we add the income of each farmers, we will get total 3000 as total income. So if we divide that total income with the 5 farmers, we will get 600. So that 600 is the average income of the 5 farmers, or each farmers, the average income of each farmers. Now, so it is this is what the value is called that 600 is nothing but that is true value. That 600 is nothing but that is true value or actual value. That 600, it means whatever the average income we found after dividing that 5 with the 3000. No, it means after the exercise or mathematical exercise we got that 600. No, means 3000 divided by 5, there we got 600 as the average income of that farmer. Okay, that is actual value. Now suppose we select a sample of 2 individuals where X has measurements of 500 and 600. Suppose if we have choose only 2 farmers, like those who are getting 500 and 600 as their per day income. So at that time what happens? Total income of that 2 farmers is 1100. So if we divide with that 1100 with the 2, means 2 farmers, you will get 550. It means that 550 is the average income of that 2 farmers, or the each farmers in that 2 farmers. Okay, so it means that 550 is the estimated value. So instead of taking 5 farmers, if we took only 2 farmers, there we get only 550 as the average income of that farmer, it means 2 farmers. So if we use the data into that equation, that is sampling error is equal to actual value minus estimated value. Actual value is 600 minus estimated value is 550. So here if we deduct that 550 in that 600, we will get 50. So that is nothing but that is a sampling error. The difference between actual and estimated value is nothing but sampling error. So there we found 50 as estimate sampling error. Okay, we found 50 as sampling error. So in an initial concept we have understood that the sampling error means we can reduce by increasing the sample size. See that 50 we can make less than 50. It means we can reduce that sampling error less than that 50 by considering one more farmer. Let me take one more farmer here, or let us take one more farmer here along with that 500 and 600. If we take one more like 650, okay, if we took one more farmer here who is taking 650 as per day income, so if we add that one more farmer here in this example, like 500 plus 600 plus 650, how much it will be? 1750. So if we divide that 1750 with the 3, I repeat, 1750 divided by 3, how much it will be? So if we add one more farmer here who is taking 650, so at that time the total income of that 3 farmers is 1750. So if we divide that 1700 with the 3, so we will get 583.33. That is estimated value. So if we subtract that estimated value in that actual value is 600 minus 583, how much will be? Just take round value as 583, means how much remained there? 17, means that sampling error has decreased. No, earlier it was, when we had only 2 farmers, no, at that time it was 50, means that sampling error was 50. When we add one more farmer here, due to that what happened? That sampling error has decreased to 17. Earlier it was 50, so when we added one more farmer, no, there that sampling error decreased from 50 to 17. So by increasing sample size, we can reduce that sampling error. So this is what the beauty of this sampling error. Hope you have understood. So let us get into the next concept, that is non-sampling errors. See, non-sampling errors means it is also one of the kinds of errors. Means while selecting samples, we may incur or we may get this kind of errors. Means this kind of problems or this kind of errors we can find while choosing that samples. So non-sampling errors are more serious than sampling errors. See, these non-sampling errors which are more serious, means which we cannot handle, or which we cannot easily change, or which we cannot able to reduce, because a sampling error can be minimized by taking a larger sample. Means that sampling error can be minimized by taking a larger sample, or by increasing the size of sample or the number of samples. But this non-sampling error we cannot reduce by taking a large sample. Okay, here we don't have that kind of opportunity, because this occurs other than that sample size. Okay, this non-sampling error kind of which occurs with the various kinds of reasons. Among there are 3 reasons. Those are errors in data acquisition. See, this non-sampling error kind of which occurs due to errors in data acquisition. It means this type of error arises from recording of incorrect responses. Okay, while recording that data, that enumerator, if that enumerator made mistake, like by writing the age of a person 18, if we wrote age as 81, at that time what happens? That we find a non-sampling error. ಒಂದು ವೇಳೆ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಸ್ವೀಕರಿಸುವವನು ಅಥವಾ ಎನ್ಯುಮರೇಟರ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಲ್ಲ, ಅವನು ವಯಸ್ಸು 18 ಬರೆಯುವುದರ ಬದಲಿ 81 ಬರೆದಿದ್ದರೆ ಅದನ್ನು ನಾವೇನು ಕರಿತೀವಿ? errors in data acquisition. Okay, so when that enumerator records incorrect responses, now at that time we incur non-sampling error or data. This is what data acquisition. Like non-response errors. Non-response errors means non-responses occurs if an interviewer is unable to contact a person listed in the sample, or a person from the sample refuses to respond. See, this kind of non-response errors we find while we conduct the sample survey, or while we conduct that survey. Now at the time we incur this kind of problem, that is non-response error. Means sometimes that enumerator, that interviewer can't, are unable to contact a person who is our sample, or the selected individual, a selected person, or the person from the sample refuses to respond. Okay, sometimes that person or that individual may not or that used to not respond to that questionnaire or to that interviewer. So at the time this kind of error occurs. That error is called non-response error. It means that person denied to answer the question or to get into that study. So that is a non-response errors. Like third, sampling bias. Let us understand what is sampling bias. Sampling bias occurs when the sampling plan is such that some members of the target population could not possibly be included in the sample. I repeat, sampling bias means sampling bias occurs when the sampling plan is such that some members of the targeted population could not possibly be included in the sample. Okay, sometimes the individuals which we cannot or which we can't use in the sample. So at that time what happens, that sampling bias occurs. Okay, so there is household which comes in that population, but in that study area, but due to certain reason, if we could not able to use that household as our sample, so at that time we get that sampling bias kind of problem. So this is what non-sampling error. So this non-sampling error is the more serious than that sampling error, because here we cannot reduce the sampling error. The sampling error kind of which occurs due to various kinds of reasons. There are three kinds of reasons. Those are errors in data acquisition, non-response errors, sampling bias. So these are the certain errors which comes in that or which will be reasons to that non-sampling error. Come at next concept, that is Census of India and NSSO. These are the two institutions which are working on the demography or the population. Let us get into the syllabus. Let us see more in that concepts. There are some agencies both at the national and state level which collect, process and tabulate the statistical data. So in our economy, in state and national level, we can find various agencies which collect, process and tabulate the statistical data which related to demography. Some of the major agencies at the national level are Census of India, National Sample Survey Organization, Central Statistical Organization, Registrar General of India, Directorate General of Commercial Intelligence and Statistics, Labor Bureau. So these are the certain agencies which are collecting, processing and tabulating the statistical data. Okay. Chronically these are publishing a document on the certain areas. We will see later on which areas these institutions are working. Let us take first institution, that is Census of India. Before that, let me clear here. So in that bracket I have said NSSO, CSO, RGI, DGCIS. So on that you will have one question as expand NSSO, expand CSSO or expand DGCIS. So at that time you have to expand. However, I have said there NSSO means this is the abbreviation. The expand of that is National Sample Survey Organization, like CSO Central Statistical Organization, like RGI and DGCIS. So please remember that. So let us take Census of India. It provides the most complete and continuous demographic record of population. See that Census of India kind of which provides the most to breathe, but that's all. Yes, that Census of India kind of which provides the most complete and the continuous demographic record of population. It means that Census of India kind of which or where we can get the information or the each and every information of the demography, and this kind of it means here we have said continuous demographic record means here we can find the chronological or chronicle data related to population. Okay, the census is being regularly conducted every 10 years since 1881. See that Census of India kind of which is being conducting since 1881 when we were under that British rule. No, since British rule we are conducting or we have started to collect the information of the population. Okay, the first time this Census of India started in our India was in 1881. The first census after independence was held in 1951. The first census after independence was held in 1951. The census collects information on various aspects of population such as the size, density, sex ratio, literacy, migration, rural and urban distribution, life expectancy. Such various kinds of data we can find under this census kind of or Census of India. So this is what Census of India. Like second kind of institution, that is National Sample Survey Organization, that is NSSO. This institution was established by the Government of India to conduct nationwide surveys on socio-economic issues. I repeat, this NSSO which established by the government to conduct nationwide surveys on socio-economic issues. This NSSO does continuous surveys in successive rounds. This is also we can find chronic surveys, it means chronic records. Here also we can find the chronic records. The data collected by NSSO surveys on different socio-economic subjects are related to through reports, and it is quarterly journal Sarvekshana. The journal of this NSSO is Sarvekshana, which is quarterly publishing. It is one kind of journal. NSSO provides periodic estimates of literacy, school enrollment, utilization of educational services, employment, unemployment, manufacturing and service sector enterprises, morbidity, maternity, child care, utilization of public distribution system, and some other kind of on these that NSSO works. On these kinds of concepts that NSSO works. The NSSO 59th round survey which held in January 2003. The NSSO also undertakes the field work of annual survey of industries, conducts crop estimation surveys, collects rural and urban retail prices of compilation of compilation of consumer price index numbers. That NSSO which gives data to compile or to calculate the consumer price index number. So this is what the work of the NSSO. Okay, I repeat, NSSO which is established by the government and which works on nationwide. It's hard to breathe, but that's alright. So this is national level institution. So here we can find some successive rounds, or the surveys are in successive rounds. Here we can find some successive surveys. So the data are the reports which publishes quarterly in a journal called Sarvekshana. So here we can find some kinds of areas of work like literacy, school enrollment, utilization of educational service, employment, unemployment, manufacturing services like enterprise service sectors, enterprises. Morbidity means mortality, maternity means the motherhood, child care. So on these fields that NSSO works. So chronically this NSSO publishes reports. So this is what NSSO. On this also they have framed question. In this PU department has framed question. That's why please remember census and NSSO. So rest of the concepts we will see in our next class. Hope you have understood today's class. If you really like the class, just give feedback in that comment section. In my next slide, I will ask certain questions. You just answer to those kinds of questions in comment section. And the questions are 6, only one word or a sentence, or 2 to 4 points of answers. So feel free to give feedback and answer to all the questions. I will correct if we have wrote or if we have written wrong answers. Thank you. Have a good day.